When that was happening, it just sort of hit me like a ton of bricks. It was almost like I can't be here.
At the end of the day, I had two options to make, and one of them was reach out and get help, and the other one was quite dark.
Talking about like how you feel isn't always perceived as being tough.
Being a martial artist is one of the hardest things in the world. Winning is everything, and losing can be destructive. But the hardest fight of them all is the one people with mental health issues have to battle every day. But what if martial arts can help people with mental health issues? This is Martial Arts, the battle of the mind. Muay Thai fighter Luke Kenny is a social housing officer from Sheffield. He trains regularly at the Thanaprom Muay Thai gym to stay fit and to help alleviate the effects of his mental health. Like many others, Luke didn't have any mental health issues for most of his life. But after traumatic events from his children's births, he was diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety.
3 years ago, my wife, we had our first son, and when he was 3 weeks old, he had to be sort of rushed in for emergency surgery. It was in intensive care for 3 weeks. It was sort of like that thing where became ill, next day is in surgery, and then it's like 3 weeks in intensive care when he was like 3 weeks old. So that sort of set me off the fact of we came sort of like about that close to sort of losing him. So that was really hard, and then because my wife were in bits, so we've got to do the thing of, well, one of us needs to sort of be here and be all right and that, and sign the paperwork to the doctor to say, oh, if you kill him, then yeah, it's not your fault, sort of thing. We had a second baby, and when she was being born, she had the cord wrapped around her neck, so we nearly lost her while she was being born. And when that was happening, it just sort of hit me like a ton of bricks. It was almost like I can't be here because you're like back in hospital. And after that, I started to get like really bad flashbacks when my son had been ill. Just couldn't deal with anything at all, really. And then it just sort of came to a head, and there was like a massive sort of collapse where it was just to the point of I can't do anything at all. I had to take like 5 months off work, getting that back sorted, started counselling, started medication. And when I was really bad, there was like a 6 month period where I was literally just on my arse, for want of a better word, coming here and hitting the bags. It's the only place I've never had a panic attack. It just sort of blasts everything out your mind. And especially, I mean, we're only a small gym, we're very tight knit, like we all go out together, we have parties together, and it's like a real good core group, and it's like a second family, and that you know that you can come here and there's always going to be at least 3 or 4 of your mates here. You're going to have a laugh and nothing else matters. You're just here and you train hard and you have a laugh. It's going to seem daft that standing there and having people kick you about and beat you up is calming, but yeah, I always feel better, always. And as I say, it's the only place where I've never had a flashback, I've never had a panic attack while I've been here. It's almost like a centre of calm where it's just in there and you're doing all right and you're just having a laugh with your mates, and the sort of the physical side of things, it just takes all the sort of stress and everything else away.
It seems that more people in the martial arts community are being affected by mental health issues. Approximately 1 in 4 people in the UK experience mental health problems, and with the tens of thousands of martial artists across the country, it comes as no surprise that the people you see battling it out in a ring or a cage could also be fighting a mental health issue. That's why MMA fighter Brett Baker, alongside his girlfriend Amy, are now running a social media campaign called Mind Mats to help spread the awareness of mental health in martial arts. There's a stigma attached to mental health that people don't understand, and within martial arts, Brett thinks that this comes from the ideology of toughness in fighters.
I think one of the main things is like martial arts attracts people who are of all different kinds. You attract people who are perfectionists, who want to just be excellent at technique. It attracts people that have just got loads of energy and just want to it's one of the most physical sports you could do, just want to get busy. But you've also got people who want to just be tough. And the whole thing's centered around fighting each other and an image of toughness, and talking about how you feel isn't always perceived as being tough. And I think that gets brought into it, whereas you never really want to seem weak, because if you seem weak, you might seem weak to your opponent, and then it's just not the way of being a fighter. But slowly I think that's changing. And I think you find, especially in like martial arts, it builds a sense of community and trust, especially in a sport like jiu-jitsu where you're literally choking each other to the point, okay, you're going to kill me there, let go. So you don't kill each other, you just let go. You build a level of trust where you can start talking about things, and you realise it takes more bravery to talk about stuff than it does bottle it in, and that brings a lot of respect. So I think, to kind of use the same answer but change it, I think it's just ignorance at first. That's what does it. But then once you start realising you're a part of a big community and everyone loves you and they're your friend, it brings people out of the shell a bit.
Mindmats also want to help incorporate martial arts into other aspects of people's lives to help educate people about mental health, and thinks that there are a few ways to help do this.
I think the way that martial arts can be helped as a tool is, one, bring it into schools. So you've got kids like, I acted up so bad at school. At school I was just awful. I weren't like burning things or anything like that. I just dead energetic and like say anxious all the time. And I did a bit of wrestling at school and that really helped. So bringing it into schools teaches kids from a younger age. Secondly, I think more on social media, because everybody on social media, that's what we're trying to do with Mind Mats. Connect to people who are sat on their own, on the phone, not wanting to leave the house. Maybe they're anxious, maybe they're depressed, maybe they've got, I don't know what it is, but they might see something on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and might get them thinking. Thirdly, I think just more like from actual being prescribed from doctors to go out and just exercise and just try martial arts. Because it's proven fact. It's not like, with Mind Mats, we did our own little study about how much BJJ can help your mental well-being, and it came back that over 90% of people said it helped. And there's scientific evidence out there about the endorphins that's released when you train and stuff like that. So why don't doctors use that evidence and to just encourage more people to do that?
Treatment of mental health issues like depression and anxiety is usually prescribed in pill form. Last year alone, the NHS prescribed 64.7 million items of antidepressants. In the past decade, there has been a massive 108.5% increase of antidepressant prescriptions. Leading doctors say this rise shouldn't be alarming, but could be indicative of the effectiveness of antidepressants. At Nottingham Trent University, Dr. Mustafa Sakar backs up this opinion, but thinks more can be done by medical professionals to promote exercise as a tool for mental health issues alongside the use of medications.
I think the GP has a big role to play in this. Now, again, traditionally, when someone comes to a GP with a mental health issue, often the first thing that they will prescribe is medication. I don't think that should be taken away. Medication needs to be prescribed if it is a clinical mental health issue. However, GPs I don't think do enough in terms of actually saying, you've got this, we're giving you this medication, but if you do exercise or physical activity and provide some suggestions around martial arts or other types of activities, actually we now know from the research that if you do exercise along taking medication, that's far more effective than just medication alone. But again, GPs need to be able to sell that message across to their patients. And I think NICE, who are the National Institute of Guidelines, they also have some guidelines for people who've got mild to moderate depression, for example, guidelines around group exercise classes. And I think martial arts fits really nicely with that, actually, because I think the group element can also be quite useful for people who've got mental health issues in that sense. So I think things are being done, but I think more kind of at a societal level, I think GPs definitely have a role to play in terms of in promoting and persuading individuals that exercise can be beneficial.
Professional mixed martial arts fighter Danny Missin was diagnosed with anxiety early on in his career. He's not only had to fight other people, but more importantly himself. He believes he's used his anxiety to better himself both as a fighter and as a person, and is now looking forward to the future as he moves closer to the end of his fighting career.
At the end of the day, I had two options to make, and one of them was reach out and get help, and the other one was quite dark, and I reached out, I got help. So I guess anxiety as well as martial arts has played a massive role model in my life to where I am now. I help like 40-45 people a week in personal training and what I do. And I take on a bit of a life coach role because I've seen a lot. So I guess now it's actually that bad voice is coming down and that good side's going up a bit, you know. It's when I thought that fighting was the be all and end all and I was even keeling, now I get to help people and I get to see people succeed and I connect with people a lot more because I've been in some dark places and everybody's is different. Anxiety is one label given to many things. If I could urge anybody, no matter what you're doing to make it an even keel, whether it's martial arts, whether it's a sport, whether it's something positive that you're putting out there, to balance it, reach out, get the help. Because what you're doing for yourself stays within you, but the best thing, I'm on a very small dose of medication. I get help when I need it now. I'm not at regular sessions, but that there helped me take the positivity that I was building inside for myself and spread it out, so now I can see things, evaluate situations, because it's taking the edge off the anxiety, and I can be the guy that I know I am, that I wanted to be, the dad that I wanted to be, the role model that I wanted to be.
Research into the link between mental health well-being and physical activity is increasing every year. These people have been able to overcome their mental health through martial arts, and through this they have won in the battle of their mind.